All right, welcome everybody. Hello everyone, thanks for being here tonight. I'll just mention that as you come in, there's a link in the chat, which I'll post again in a minute, that has the attachment, which is a handout for tonight's program. And I can also email that out at the end of the program to everyone who registered so that you have that handout. Thank you so much for being here tonight for this program with the University of California Master Gardeners of Santa Clara County. And tonight's program is titled Growing Houseplants for Cleaner Air. My name is Daniel Keogh. I'm a librarian here at Los Gatos Library. Here at the library, we're working hard to provide more programs and more services as best as we can and as safe as we possibly can. You can sign up for our newsletter to learn more about our other programs that we're offering this month and next month. And there's a link to that newsletter sign up in the event description for this event tonight. And then you can, we also post all of our events on our website and as well as our Facebook page. You can also stop by the library. So as of now, our lobby is open for browsing, picking up holds, and our staff are there to answer any questions that you might have. And if you're not comfortable coming into the library yet, you're welcome to call us Monday through Friday. You can also send us a chat on our website or send us an email to library@losgatosca.gov, G-O-V, and we're happy to get back to you and answer those questions. And I want to give one more quick shout out to the Friends of Los Gatos Library who provide us the ability to offer programs like these. They've actually now reopened their bookstore. It's open on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. And that's located at 110 East Main Street, right there next to the library. You can also go to their website, which is friendsoflglibrary.org, and that's where you can find information about donating books, donating funds, or becoming a volunteer with the Friends. I'll post this link one more time that has the attachment with the handouts. We are so glad to be working with the UC Master Gardeners of Santa Clara County and offering these programs with them. We'll be planning additional programs together in the coming months, so look out for one in December. And then you can sign up for our newsletter, watch our social media, or you can see all of the Master Gardeners of Santa Clara County's events on their website as well. I want to let you know, if you don't see a Q&A option, you can ask questions in the chat and we'll be able to monitor the chat. Tonight we have Master Gardener Mint Pasakdee, and she's here to teach us about growing houseplants for cleaner air. And we also have Master Gardener Luis Christie, who's here in the background to help watch comments. And with that, I will pass it over to Mint.
All right, well, thank you, Daniel. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. So we're gonna learn more about houseplant, and we're gonna help answer questions, for you guys to maintain the healthy houseplant. For this, before we go into the detail, I'd like to share with you some information about our program. So for those of you that are new to our program, so we are a certified volunteer. Our program, we train to become a volunteer. So the training usually happen every 2 years. On the odd years, unfortunately, because we are still during pandemic, so they decide to postpone the next year training. But for those of you that have in mind, that you'd like to join us in the future as a trained volunteer, please go to our website, email. We do not share your email with any other partners. So pretty much you will receive once a month email, and that's a very good information for those of you that you do gardening at home. We remind you about what's going to happen, now that we start getting chilly night and frost, so what you should do to protect some of those, frost sensitive plants, things like that. We do have several locations for demonstration gardens and research gardens. And we've been closed during pandemic, now a few places start opening again. Please check our website for the hours. So you can kind of take a walk and look at, what blooming during different time of the years, to get some idea for your landscape design and such. We do have two big events that, we sell plants to the public. We have canceled both spring and fall 2020 sale to the public. Again, more information will be posted as we going through this time. And we have upcoming talk. Now that several libraries will host the virtual gardening talk. So that's convenient for those of you that have a hard time go visit certain site of the library. So then thank you again for hosting the talk tonight. So the outline of my talk today, and I will go over some basic science, how to pretty much, maintain the healthy plant. And so the talk will focusing on, these air purifying plants that, that will related to how, pretty much reduce the indoor air pollutants. So, and then I will give you some tips and resources to, you can go seek more information. And again, most of the information are on the handouts, and I will answer the question at the very end. So this is going back to our science that for the plant plant is happen when plant receive light, and it could be the lights that came from sunlight. So but again, for house plant, that could come through it can be grow light. So for those of you that so the light is a part of the process. So then plant absorb energy during light exposure. So then it's required that the plant has a water source and food or fertilizer source. So then the plant will convert or absorb carbon dioxide from the air and release oxygen during this chemical process. So in a way, you sort of need all of those factors in order to have a healthy plant. So you can think about photosynthesis and the green leaf area as their main kitchen. So they'll be able to cook their food and keep growing. So I just want to compare, what's happening during the day and night for plants in general. So during the day, that's how I mentioned, so then the plant, they keep growing because they get sunlight and they utilize, the water and mineral that came from the soil. And then, they take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen. But at night, we call it cellular respiration. So pretty much plant do breathe in oxygen at night and release carbon dioxide during the night. I did receive quite a few questions on my previous talk about, having a house plant inside a bedroom. I would say that if you have a few of them, it will not impact our breathing or compete, oxygen with us. So it's okay to have, those plants in the bedroom. So to talk about, indoor air pollutants. So the US EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, currently ranks indoor air pollution as one of the top 5 threats to public health. So household products and chemicals that cause indoor air pollution include furniture wax, paint, stripper, adhesive, paint-based product, cleaning products, disinfectants, degreaser, and cosmetic. Some of these products release chemical into the air during use, whereas others emit chemicals as they age, dry, or kill. So this is known as outgassing. So the study, this is the air quality study that conducted by NASA was back in 1989. But again, several websites that, now that with the house plant became sort of popular during pandemic, people sort of getting house plant and get more interest about having this house plant, as we stay indoor and inside more than before. So, so this plant, there are a total of 18 house plants that the study showed that they can filter harmful toxins and pollutants from the air. So I do have the link, which is if you want to learn more about this study, it's extensive study. So I'm gonna go over sort of briefly, and then I like to spend more time discuss about how we keep this house plant healthy within indoor environment. So I apologize for the smaller print, but this is pretty much sort of summarized about so the study would these 5 chemical substances are the source of indoor pollutants. So the first one, with the green circle here, the trichloroethylene. So that could be found in printing inks, pens, adhesive, pen remover and stipper. So that's one of them. The second one, the blue one, is formaldehyde, which is found in paper bags, wax paper, facial tissue, paper towels, table napkins, so sort of paper products. The benzene, used to make plastic resin, synthetic fibers, rubber, lubricants, dyes, detergent, and also could be found from tobacco smoke, the vehicle exhaust, and then glue, paint, and some of the furniture wax. The purple one here is called xylene. So it's found in printing, rubber, leather, and paint industry, tobacco, and also vehicle exhaust. And last but not least is the ammonia. So it's found in window cleaner, floor wax, smelling salt, and fertilizer. So those 5 chemicals, do pose an impact on humans. And again, because we stay indoor, and with those, because we're breathing, right? So then it's kind of like they do have like symptoms that associate, for example, with trichloroethylene, it can give you like dizziness, headache, nausea. With the xylene, that could be, it's quite similar symptom, but overall, like pretty much, eye irritation, sore throats, things like that. So in order, so the study, they look into like these 5 chemicals. And then again, so this plant, I recommend to be house plant to help reduce these 5 chemicals. But again, for those of you that have young children and pets, especially cat and dogs, that we love them so much, you got to study or do more research. I do not have that resource link on my talk today, but just to make sure that whatever house plant you bring in, is safe for them, because some of them can be toxic. So this is kind of an image from that study. So when you look at it, like I will show you the real picture of these 18 plants. But again, like for those 5 chemicals, this is like the wolf dead palm, it would help clean those 2 of the 5, and then go on as like, all these plants. So if you want to look into like, but then you can look at like, this is the bottom, they'll be able to clean, let's say like the one that help, pretty much reduce those air pollutants most would be, I would start with, like English ivy, variegated snake plant, the peace lily, try not to, and then the chrysanthemum, and also the Crasina. So the next couple of slides would show you those 18 plants, So spider plant. So some of this plant, like this is a common name, but again, for house plant, they can vary by species. So spider plant can also have all the leaf, or like this is more like variegated, but it can be green, white, green, or white, green, white, excuse me, and then all green leaf as well. And snake plant come with various color and size, so this is like one of them, and this is a lily tuft. So next is weeping fig. So fig is ficus family. So again, like this one has been well known as one of the nice pattern house plant. I know the fiddle fig became very popular this past few years. So again, the study didn't, they only studied this weeping fig but since they are same family, so they could post the similar characteristic. So next would be peace lily from the left, flamingo lily, Burberton daisy, sorry, the top one, the red one, and then the florist chrysanthemum, which is the pink one. And then followed by devil's ivy or the pothos. And again, they can have different variation, like, with the pattern and color, and then the English ivy. So the last but not least would including Boston fern, the Kimberly fern, and then Chinese evergreen. And Chinese evergreen is a common name of a pretty big group of this group of tropical plant. So it come with, like it can be dark green, or some of them even have pink color as well. And then we have bamboo palm, the broadleaf lady palm, and then the dwarf dead palm, which is like they're quite small. And next would be the cornstalk Dacinia, and then the red edge Dacinia. So now we're gonna have, getting to sort of understand that how to maintain, keep those plants healthy and happy in your household. So when you plant them, like most of the time we go buy them, I would support that you look into the plant that get it from local nursery or certified nursery. And now, with the business going on, so there are quite a few shops that not only they sell flower like florists, but they might sell some of these live house plants. So there are several new small business, start showing up within San Jose area and such. And then if you buy online, just keep in mind that, like they would have to go through this stress period that, like it would take time to recover because they were like sort of inside that dark box for a couple of days, and especially if they ship from Florida or East Coast. But again, for those plants, there is a law related to shipping plant to California. So for certain states, because of disease concern, they might ship bare root. They cannot ship it like, the whole plant with the potting soil. So keep that in mind. And then when you get the new plant, regardless where you get them, it's good to be careful, sort of like quarantine them, don't put them with your 50 house plant, because if they came with some type of pest, they might also infest the whole plant in your house, so just keep that in mind and, make sure that you don't mix them in too soon. So just to look at, like usually they use potting soil, which is not a native soil or garden soil. And then because they're in the pot environment, so it's important to make sure that, the soil is not compact, that, you can increase aeration by mix the potting soil with adding perlite. And then the location of the house plant, including light and air circulation and humidity. And I will talk more in detail about that. And understanding how much water plant need. So that's varies by species. And then, overall, like drying is actually better than wet, because if you can, if the root cannot get dry out, like, so plant root does need to oxygen to sort of breathe as well. So then it can increase, sort of like if you keep it wet all the time, the root can get rot and then the plant will die. So this is how, like, when I mentioned about the potting soil, so you can carve, when you buy potting soil, again, there are so many type of them out there. When you walk into a garden store, it can get overwhelming. But again, like just make sure that they are potting soil for container garden. So they are, for overall, like most of the plant, the house plant, you can utilize this, the container garden type of potting soil, which is like, on the right here. I'm not endorse any brand, but I just want to make sure that you understand, just like when we go buy food, we want to make sure that, what we're eating, right? So then it's the same for plants. So make sure you read the label carefully. But I just want to point out for those of you that want to stay on the organic gardening side. So those bag must have like, the sign. One thing to look at is called OMRI sign, or the certification agency that would say that these potting soil are good for use for organic purpose. So, but then for those of you that like to grow cactus, succulent, for those group of plant, even though it's not quite part of this study, but again, those group of plant, especially cactus and succulent, it's good. They do not like wet at all. So but they do need some water. So what I'm saying that the mix of potting soil would stay on they would have a high level of perlite, because and sand, because it's sort of like the water drain fast and then dry fast. So this kind of like why perlite is important to be part of the potting soil mix, because they are minerals, so they're not compact, and then they help with aeration and drainage, and so they're not decomposed over time. And again, they're free of weed, disease, and pests, and they're lightweight and ready to use. So I do buy a bag of perlite on a site, just because some plant, somehow when I open the bag of potting soil and I notice that they don't have a lot of perlite, I would add just a few, just to make the soil more light and arid. So next is about light. So why do light important? So the cardinal direction of windows are matter. So you have to figure out, like the location of your house plant. So as we all aware, the south-facing side is always the warmest part of the house, and it will receive this full sun and the longer light exposure. So the plant that would love those would be including cacti, citrus, herb, geranium, and some succulent. So again, the plant that can those sensitive plant would get sunburn, and you will notice that. So the west facing, so when you look at it, this will get afternoon sun, it's hot and bright, but again, it's sort of the area of that bright indirect light. Those plants include succulent, hibiscus, pineapple, myrtle, passiflora, and oxalis. So the next is east facing, which will receive morning sun, and so that's kind of like the soft direct sunlight in the morning. So you can have those monstera, peperomia, alaria, philodendrons, and begonias. So that's a medium indirect light. And the north facing could get medium to low direct light, and you can have orchids, fern, air plants, pothos, and prayer plants. So I like this picture. So when you walk in the room, this is a types of indoor light. So number one is a bright direct light, which is like right by the window, and then you can look at like as the further away from the window or from that wall, you get bright indirect light, you get medium light, and you get low light. So next is about if you notice, if you have house plant for a while, you might notice the surface of the potting soil. You start seeing this kind of white material. So that's quite common, because the water in our area does have a salt content. So salt doesn't mean bad as always. So calcium and magnesium are good salt, which is also fertilizer for plant. But again, sodium is not so good. So again, most of the plant, if they're not too sensitive for salt, you might not see anything. But when the leaf, if you look at the tip of the leaf that start developing brown tip, that could be a sign of salt accumulation, because the plant tries to like sort of get rid of the salt. So then one tip, a couple tips to help out. So once in a while, you should give them sort of like shower, which means that you water them and let the water drain out. Because often, sometimes people has a drainage plate underneath, and then you sort of use that water, sort of recycle that water, so the salt will stay in that pot. So it's good to, every 3 months or give the good shower content, but it's good to, clean up the dust and things that accumulate, because if you have a dusty leaf, it can, the mite, dust mite can show up. Excuse me, spider mite would show up because they like that dusty leaf area and limit air circulation. So for fertilizer, most of the potting soil when you start with, they actually came with like good source of fertilizer. You might not need to fertilize for about, I would say, at least 3 to 6 months or so, depending on the size of the plant and what season. So the tropical plants, now it's winter. They're supposed to go dormant in a way, like they're not active. They're not die, but they're not happy because it's too cold for them. But again, if you want to use, I would recommend to stay with organic sort of fertilizer, because they're not, they sort of feed the healthy soil and give you healthy plant. And then again, because they don't have a high salt content, so it's better for the plant as a long term. Personally, I have a worm bin, so I would dilute the vermicompost and water them, and they seem to be happy with that. So for the worm compost, just be careful that, because they're 4 times higher than regular compost. So you only need, let's say, like probably 1 tablespoon for 1 gallon of water or less. So then, or less compost. So dilute is better. So there are like a number of tips that to, sort of creating this perfect environment for your house plant. So one of them is especially those plants that sort of came from subtropical or tropical area. So those areas does have like humidity in the air. For us in California, we depends on where you at, but it tend to be lower, like the air stay drier for our Mediterranean climate. So to increase humidity, one way is, when you look at the picture, you can have this pebble, that sit on the saucepan, and then have water. So don't add too high, because you want the pot just to sit on it. So then, like as the water evaporates, create this, humidity for the plant. And then, for those of you that do not like to have those gnat or aphid on the plant, there are the way to water them from the bottom. So I will show you on the next picture. But again, if you maintain the dry soil surface, those insects would have a hard time, like lay eggs and go through their life cycle. So I just want to show you that, like this is carp. You can get sort of, inexpensive. This is carp, give you temperature and humidity. This is the one that I use at home, just carp to give me some idea, because I do have a few tropical plants that I want to make sure that they stay happy. And then this is sort of soil moisture content, a quick, you can poke into the soil and then they would show the reading whether dry or moist or wet. So in a way, we can just use our finger, the rule of thumb would be like, ½ inch. So if the soil is, most of the plant, you don't need to water until they're about ½ to 1 inch dry on top. Because again, we don't want to saturate those potting soil, and then the root cannot breathe and get root rot and kill the plant, so that could happen. And then if you keep it too dry for certain plant, and they might not come back. So this is what I was gonna mention about, this is carp, it's different. So the one with gravel, you want the water to stay away from the bottom of the pot. So this is for humidity purpose. But if you want to bottom watering, which is like try to keep the topsoil dry to stay away from the gnat, because they do like coming and lay eggs and have all this little fruit fly around the house. Or excuse me, it's fly, not fruit fly. But so when you bottom watering, you only leave it up until 30 minutes, and then that's it. If you have it, the water left, so they don't need it anymore. So the water go through those holes on the bottom. So then this is the gnat that I was mentioning. So they little carp fly, they yeah, so they show up when you bring in, you know, like this fresh potting soil. It just happened to be part of their life cycle. So one way to do that is to trap them, and they attract to yellow piece of paper because they attract to light. So so they are commercial one that you can buy as a, you can peel out the sticker and, you know, they will be sticky yellow that way, or you can just make it your own with the yellow paper, coat with oil or glue or Vaseline, and then, you know, you can set it by those pot plant. Next tip is about, you know, this, you know, how to shine the leaf. I read quite a bit about, you know, like sort of argument about, you know, it's probably best not to do that. Just use like, you know, wipe with soft cloth and towel, you know, just with water, or you can give plant shower, you know, like every now and then, sort of to clean up those dust. But years back when I was in college, I just happened to intern with this company that they actually do sort of indoor house plant rotation. And one of the tips that they use is they use the vegetable oil mixed with water. So the oil with carb help make that glossiness, you know. But again, some argument they say that the oil might block the plant. So I would say like, I think use a little bit is okay, you know, but the plant itself would have the natural glossiness as their own. And then if your plant start leaning toward, you know, like the window or pretty much the where the light source came in, so you need to make sure that you start rotating the plant, you know, so then the plant can grow sort of straight up. Otherwise, they would just keep leaning that way. So that help maintain the shape of the plant. And then it's important to remove dead leaf and pruning out leaf that, you know, sort of, so you pruning the leaf out for, you know, like those leaf away from the bottom. So you know, compost it or put it out, you know, don't put it underneath. Because that if the leaf has some disease, you know, it might spread more. So one thing is like, you know, you want to increase air circulation because that help to reduce aphid and spider mite. So for plant, you know, if you have it for a while, so this is a spider plant. It's just a good example because they would send out this stock, and then this is all baby spider plants everywhere. So, you know, and you can just cut it and soak them in the water to root them out more, and then that's how you propagate spider plant. So at some point, you know, there was a number of plants that would be okay with root bow, which means that, you know, when they grow at maximum size, the root will start circling in the pot. But some plant, you know, at some point they will not be happy, so they want a bigger pot and refreshing new potting soil. So I mentioned that briefly already that I would recommend to buy plant from local nursery, you know, the hardware store, you know, Home Depot, Lowe's, and they do have some plant. They have a good plant, but most of the time, sometimes they just have plant that sort of, you know, you don't want to get plant that too stressed. So then, you know, you might not be able to revive them back. You know, some of those discount stores, that's probably could happen. And then again, you know, make sure that when you buy online, you know, be careful where they came from. And if they came from certified nursery, that would be recommended because those nursery, they do have a license. But if it came from just people selling it, just make sure that you quarantine the plant before you mix in with your plant because the disease can spread that way. And houseplant make perfect gift. So this is kind of the website that I would recommend everyone to sort of take a look. You know, there's a link on the handouts already. This is, you know, as a Master Gardener, we part of the University of California Cooperative Extension. So we utilize the information that came from UC scientists and professor. So so this is kind of, you know, the screenshot of the website that, you know, go to like houseplant problem, you know, what caused the problem, how to manage them, and how to identify, you know, them. So often it's aphid and mite, yeah, that do give the problem. And then, yeah, so like, so these are some of the example. Spider mite, you can easily feel like there's a webbing around the plant. And there was fungus disease. We call them powdery mildew. So they can be a growth on some of the plant. And then some of the bacterial disease as well. So this would be, guide for diagnosing houseplant problem. So there are like, on the left would be brown or scotch leaf tip. And then, the cause could be like poor health, from overwatering. Surprisingly, if you let the soil go too dry, between watering, some plant get stressed out and they would start showing the brown leaf symptom. And then again, like I mentioned earlier, with the salt in the water, and also if you add too much fertilizer, that could cause the brown leaf as well. And some of the tropical plant, they're sensitive to dry air or low humidity. So not only you increase the humidity with that saucepan, I show you, some people recommend that you actually turn on the humidifier for plant to help increasing leaf spot or the blotch, or scabby spot. So that could be causing by sunburn. And again, when you move plant around, like some plant, during spring and summer when the air warm, they would be happy to stay outside, maybe on your porch or patio. But then again, if you, let's say when you move it from inside the house to outside, and the sun happen to be strong that day, they can, get sensitive because the plant not used to that sun exposure. So be careful with that. So you sort of have to slowly put it outside that, like maybe in shady area first, and then slowly, so they can acclimate to the light that way. And then again, there are some sign of chilling injury. So when it's below 50 degrees, the plant can get sensitive and the leaf will drop. Too much water or even light, and fungus and bacterial infection. So next would be forest yellow green on older leaf. So older leaf mean the leaf that on the bottom. So the new leaf would be on top. So this is sort of like, you can look into like older leaf can be insufficient fertilizer, and usually nitrogen would be one of them. And then the root bow, I mentioned that, you have to consider like repot or uppot. If you have plant in 6-inch pot, think about 8-inch pot, maybe in a few years from that time. And then if they don't have enough light, they can grow, they will look unhealthy or unhappy. So you can notice that. And then again, there was some type of sap-sucking pests such as whitefly, soft-scale insect, and spider mite. So flourish yellow-green or newer leaf. So that could cause by overwatering, the soil pH imbalance, and then the micronutrient deficiency. And then there's some type of the yellow-green throughout the plant, so again, you can look at the location of the plant, with the light exposure, and then the over or under watering, and then, the nutrient in the soil, and again, the dryness of the air and insect infestation. So some of these quite similar cause, but, like you just have to diagnose them. And again, like when we get new plant, do research, there are several. It's good to get a couple different sources of information. So now, that even YouTuber that talk about all these house plant. So if you go listen to them, so they share with you how they successfully have those beautiful house plant. And then it can be like, the leaf drop or sudden wilting of forest. So then, it could happen that if any sort of like sudden change in the environment, that could cause, and then again, if it start happening, the compact soil and root bow could be the cause as well. All right, so this is concluding my talk of today. Happy houseplant. So this is there your natural air purifier. And I believe some of us already, sort of, start with a few plants and then going through pandemic and probably bought like 40 more plants. But I'm here to answer questions. So this would be the end of my talk.
Hi, Mint.
Hi.
Thank you so much. We had a couple questions. One of them is a little bit more about snake plant in particular. Someone says that they have a sick snake plant.
So snake plant is this one. Is yeah. So they is that what's other symptom?
He didn't actually say. He just said talk about how to take care of a snake
Okay,
plant.
so plant. All right, that's fine. This plant actually, I just happened to like this picture. I believe I probably bought this plant about 5 years ago, and now I do have big one growing at my house. Believe it or not, they're one of those plants that grow very slow. So sometimes that you don't feel like they're growing, unlike other plants, right? Because they have all these new leaves showing up. But what I'm saying that they actually prefer staying on the dry side. So if you let it dry, they will be okay. But then it can easily get killed by too much or too frequent watering. So that would be my 2 cents about this plant. And they actually good with any light exposure. They actually can tolerate like very low light. They can be in the corner of the dark room and they're still growing. But again, so that would be kind of like my my recommendation, unless if you want to type more specific about what happened with your snake plant, so I can try to be like more specific.
One person says, my snake plant leaves are rotting and falling off. And the question is, how often should I water? I think if the leaves are rotting and falling off, there's probably too much water.
That's true. Yeah. So if you need to let it dry completely. Like I said, we think that water is good for plant, but for this species, you can notice that the leaves are more like, sort of thicker, and they prefer to stay on the dry side, just like succulent. If you raise succulent, you don't want to water too often because they can get rot and die. So if it's, I would say like, you can repot the soil. So when you repot it, don't water at all. So when you repot, the potting soil that came, they're semi-dry already. So, sort of, so then hopefully that could revive the plant, but at some point it might be too late.
There's actually quite a few questions here. Someone says, did you say it was not good to have plants in the bedroom?
Oh, no, I'm sorry, I didn't make it clear. No, what I'm saying that it's okay to have a house plant in the bedroom.
Definitely,
it's
right?
Not a problem.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
And definitely, yeah, you can have them. It's just like you're not gonna put like 40 of them in the, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying that because they do release carbon dioxide at night, but it's not gonna be any problem at all, because in general, when you turn on the light, they would do photosynthesis, so they carb do go to back and forth. But it's okay. Yeah, sorry about that if I didn't make it clear.
Okay. Someone else has asked about pothos. Should it be grown in water or in soil?
Oh, well, those plants, they, for that family, they actually, they're quite easy, as you can see. So you can actually grow in either medium. So when they're in water, at some point you might have to like clean, clean the water, because when it start collecting all the dead root material and stuff, the water might get sort of like bacteria and fungus and mold growing there, so then the plant die from that. But they actually one of the species that the root can stay wet at all times. So that would be for pothos, so if you have it in water, that's fine. But if you grow in soil, again, they're okay. I mean, what I'm saying that they're not finicking about like too dry or too wet. in fact, if it's too dry, you will see them sort of start wilting. So, but again, too wet wouldn't hurt them, unlike snake plant.
Yeah, yeah. My mother had a pothos plant that she had in only water for about 20 years. Never put it in soil. But I have noticed myself that if you give them soil, they seem a little happier because they're getting more nutrition. Let's see. There are other questions. What does it mean when the new leaves on my peace lily are limp and brown at the tips?
Well, yeah, like the chart that I went over, let's see, the new leaf, I can show you here real quick. So then, you know, it could be, you know, over watering. So if you have it in, if you just repot the soil, maybe they just keep adjusting, and then it could be micronutrient deficiency. But if you said limping, it could be like underwater though. Like I noticed, I do have peace lily myself, so I can show the picture in case someone.
She was saying brown at the tips.
Lily there. So for new leaf or for, let's see, this is pivot. Oh. So brown at the tip would be salt related. So like did I have it? Oh, sorry. I was gonna show a picture when I'm talking. Oh, I thought I have it, but maybe not. So brown, I noticed that like for peace lily, the longer it stay in the pot, yeah. Okay, this is how sort of drawing a peace lily. So the longer you have it in the pot, you know, like the salt, like I said, you know, if you don't get them shower every once in a while, the salt will accumulate in the soil, and then the leaf will try to like shred that salt out. So it would show the tip with the brown spot. Yeah, so
yeah,
that would.
Let's see. I don't know if you're able to hear me now because you seem to be a little bit frozen. Oops. Oh, there we. There you are. Okay, I think you were lost for a minute there. One question: what about pots that have that do not have drainage holes? How often would you water? That's a really difficult situation for a plant.
Yeah, like, you know, for those pots that do not have the hole, that would be sort of like decorating pot, which means that you should have like sort of, it's more like drainage pot in the way. So it's better to actually grow them in the pot with hole, because you want that water to, you know, leach out. Like I said, you know, with the salt, you want the salt to leach out when you give them this good shower once in a while. And then again, you know, it's hard to, how should I put it? Like, but then if you really want to use that pot, it's good to have at least, I would say, like ½ an inch of gravel on the bottom. So then, you know, it's not, the root doesn't sit on the water. So you have to use your finger, you know, poke the hole to feel like, you know, if it's, I would say like 1 inch, the top 1 inch of the soil has to be dry before you water. Or you can use that, the meter, you know, sort of this meter, so you can feel, because if you poke into the soil, you can see that whether the soil is still pretty wet, so you don't need to water. You rather the soil stay on the moist area for most of the plant, house plant.
Yeah. I personally, my advice would be to never grow a plant in a place that does not have a drainage hole. They really need to have drainage. Here's another question. If our room does not get a lot of natural light, should we use a grow light?
Oh yeah, I haven't touched on that part. Well, it depends on what plant you have. You know, and then again, you know, some plant can be just fine without like grow light, like especially the plant that sort of can stay on, you know, this low light plant, you know. So there's a number of house plant that would stay on the low light, including snake plant as well. So they're okay, like, and pothos, they're not, they're okay with low light. But if you have plant that happen that need more light, you know, you can get the grow light. And grow light, the one that I started sort of, I'm still new for grow light. I do have one set that because I just have the aquarium area that I want my plant in the aquarium to get enough light to grow. So I do use grow light for that. But they do come with different settings. Like you can have number 1 to 5, you know, like, so you can kind of play with it and yeah, research more about it. Yeah. Have you used grow light, Ruth?
I have used grow lights quite a lot for growing certain kinds of vegetable starts in the house, but I've never used a grow light for houseplants. Mostly I just try to put my houseplants near the window and hope for the best.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like sometimes like you can have to watch and see, you know, when you get new house plan and do some research because different house has different light situation.
Right. Yeah, I recommend
like if you think that the plant, the one side that the plant does need more light, like they would reach for the light, you know how like they lean toward the light, and then some other type of plant, it can even start grow sort of, we call leggy, but it's more like seedling, but I just like I want the name, but there's a couple of species that it was stretching, like elongate the stem. So then that's a sign that they need more light.
Yes, the pothos and snake plant are really good plants for low light situations. I think you've already said that too. I'm looking at some of these other questions. My peace lily and anthurium are growing leaves, but no bloom. Do you know how to get a peace lily to bloom? I've never had any luck with that.
You know, I actually, my peace lily bloom, I would say like probably every year or so. I just don't remember what time of the year. Sometimes it just happens. That's funny how I try to be more specific, but one thing that when the plant not bloom is about, you know, fertilizer. So like I said, you know, I do feed my house plant with worm casting, like dilute with water, probably like twice a year, you know, not that often. But again, that could be one way that try to use add fertilizer to your peace lily so they get bloom. But then if they're very young, like I think it took me a couple of years before they bloom. Like, you know, like if you bought the young small plant, you know, it would take some time to go to get to mature site before they bloom.
I do think that fertilizer helps a lot too. Let's see, I'm looking for, how many rooms do you need? How many plants do you need in a room to be effective in filtering the air?
Oh, yeah, you know what, that's a good question. In fact, I forgot to mention that. For this study, they said 1 plant per 100 square feet. So but again, you know, that would vary by size. And so I would recommend to go read the study in detail. But I do have that note somewhere that they said like recommend 1 house plant per 100 square feet.
That's a good rule of thumb. Let's see, I'm looking for some that are a little more general. My calathea is dying. Some leaves are brown and dry, and the remaining 1 or 2 leaves have brown edges.
Let's see.
Any advice for calathea?
Do you have it here?
That's
right?
Calathea is also known as prayer plant.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm quite new for this plant. You know, I read quite a bit about them. They do like humidity, I believe, because the way that, or one thing that I should mention. So when you bring, when you have the plant, right? So one way to read more about it, so to do research that this plant, where are they come from? Like, sort of like, so calathea, I believe they're native to South America, so they are like understory plant, which means that in the nature, they go underneath the big tree. So they do not like direct sun, period. So they do get filter sun, but then if they come from like South America, which means that they're tropical or subtropical. So humidity would be one way to help them thrive. And let's see what else.
I think humidity is a big issue for a lot of plants. That we have such dry air, and you're right. They want to live in the jungle, and our rooms are very dry compared to where they really want to live. So it's humidity can really help.
I read a few of the bloggers. They actually do turn on a humidifier for their plants for that reason.
Right, and if you think about the greenhouses where they grow these plants, those are humid locations too. Before they sell them to us, they grow them in a humid location.
Yeah, so it's carved. They came from this nice and perfect nursery. When you bring them in, like, well, they go sit on the counter or at the, on the shelf for some time and then come to our house. It does take time to adjust, when you think about this. So give them some time. It's not sort of like, it's not happening overnight, but then, like I said, like now that we're going through winter, some of these plants might end up, some plants do get to sort of dormancy, which means that they might not grow the new leaf, but they not die. So just keep that in mind.
Yes. Speaking of humidity, someone asks, is the bathroom a suitable place for plants?
Well, like, I would say like it depends. So again, like there are a number of plants that they call like bathroom plant, which means that they prefer that they like the condition that, let's say like, let's say that it stay wet and humid, and then if you have light and they're not so bright, so that's kind of a low light. So a number of ferns could work that way. But again, depends on how long do you have the light on, right? Like let's say that if you only shower once a day, the light is not long enough to keep that plant dry. You see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Most bathrooms are not very bright.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of see that, like, unless you have the bathroom with the window that gets some light exposure, so that could be a good. I mean, you could have healthy plant there, but you can try and see. But like, let's say if you don't have window, at least you have to turn on the light. I would say at least 4-5 hours minimum for the light exposure for the plant to be able to stay healthy.
One question here is, would you recommend Osmocote for indoor plants as a fertilizer?
What is that?
Osmocote? Osmocote is those little beads that have extended duration, extended release. So you can put a few on the plant and it lasts for several months.
Oh, so it's kind of those green little pebbles that come with plants sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes they're green. The brand Osmocote is tan.
So I believe they slow release synthetic fertilizer.
Yes,
right?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, because they're slow release, it's nice that when you have it, it would take some time. You don't have to fertilize that often. But again, just to keep in mind, I believe they might be urea based. So urea fertilizer as chemical fertilizer that do have high salt content. So if you keep using it over time, some of the salt sensitive plant would show that sign of, like brown tip. And so I would say that if you have some, you can use it up. But if you stay on the natural, natural-based fertilizer, like organic fertilizer and compost type, is better for soil overall. So it's better for plant, you know, because like I said, you know, you sort of, so you utilize that natural environment, you know, comparing to synthetic environment.
And someone asks how, I think you said this, but if you could repeat it, how much worm castings do you use per plant?
So I would, if you have, for houseplant purpose only, okay, because I'm talking about houseplant. So I would use up to 1 tablespoon mixed with 1 gallon of water. So I do not apply it directly to the soil because, you know, that you want it to be dilute enough that it's not sort of, what do you call it, like choke the plant, like choke the plant, or if it's too much, you know, like it can become, because I mean, all the fertilizer, I mean, it would be more like it toxic than make the plant happy. So I would use that recipe, you know, 1 tablespoon per 1 gallon of water.
And then how much would you give a plant? The whole gallon or?
Well, it depends on the size of your plant. So like I would just do like, you know, just like instead of like you water with regular water, right? Like depends on how do you do it, like either bottom watering, so you can soak the plant in the water for like 20 minutes or so, and then that's enough. Or if you water from the top, you know, you let it drain, don't collect that water, so then you can keep water the other plant. So just water enough that it's stay in the, you know, like moist the whole plant, like moist the root ball.
And how often do you fertilize a house plant?
I would do only when it's an active growing season, which means that it depends on, you know, like, you know, the question came with like calathea and all these sort of tropical plant. So like I said, winter month, fall and winter, this is more like you don't have to fertilize them until spring comes. So spring to winter, sorry, I would say like probably from March to August or September, that would be the time that you fertilize them. And it really depends on the size of the plant. Like I do have fiddle fig that I got as a gift. He came with probably like 1 foot tall, and then I do give fertilizer, and then over summer it grow another foot. You know, it's like it can go that much. But then for this past month also, with the cold night and everything, it's only grow 1 leaf. You know what I mean? Like, so that's kind of the factors that you have to sort of keep an eye on your plant. But spring and summer would be the time that you supplement nutrients so they grow bigger at that time. And again, you know, like the sign of the plant that need fertilizer would be like carb yellow, light green leaf. So either you fertilize them or you can repot them, because the potting soil, you know, it would last so long. So those would be 2 ways to do it.
And how often do you repot your plants?
Again, it depends, but I would say like if you have tiny pot, right, and they grow fast in the summer, it's probably good to upside the pot more often. But if you have the big pot already, it would be like probably a few years also.
Mm-hmm. Personally, I think a lot of people tend to keep their houseplants in the same soil too long. Mm-hmm. And the plant is using up all the nutrition and everything in that soil, and it really needs fresh soil once in a while. Even if you're fertilizing it, it still would like to have fresh soil sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because at some point, yeah, the root can get root bound, and when you pull it out, it's actually almost like less than 10% of potting soil left is all root. I mean, it happened, you know, we got busy, but again, that's, yeah, I support that. Yeah.
Does it matter if you repot them in the spring, or should you repot them when they're growing slowly in the winter?
You know, that's a good question. I haven't read about that. I think like it could happen anytime, but again, for winter, like you can repot them, but then it might not show any sign because the way that they sort of go dormant. So
you would repot in the winter, but they wouldn't show that they were happy until the springtime.
Yes, yeah, I would say that you can report anytime, but again, that would be that's what you said. Yeah, that's correct.
And there's another question. Should you water with warm water or cool water when you water your plants?
I would say like room temperature water. You know, like if you, I know that now that it's cold, right? So the water get very cold, and then some of these tropical plants, they might prefer a little bit warm water. But again, you know, the water that came from, say that I would just use cold water and let it sit. Okay, let's see back off a little bit. So watering, some plant, they can just get, you know, like, let's say like you can open the faucet and water, and that should be fine. They're not finicking about like, you know, the water that, so the fresh water has like, you know, chlorine and other, some of these chemical that they mix into, and they're fresh, right? But then just think about like fish tank. You don't want to give that fresh water to the fish. You want the water to sit overnight for some chemical to sort of like evaporate. So what I'm saying that from what I read, the tropical plant and a number of plants, they prefer that water that sort of sit overnight. And some of those bloggers, they even recommend to use like distilled water, you know. But for me, I feel like you don't have to go beyond that, like, you know. But if it's a rainwater, that would be even awesome if you can collect a clean rainwater, which means that you have to let it rain for a couple of days and clean out everything that in the air, and then you get this fresh rainwater. So that would be perfect for some of these plants, like we said, that they're native to the forest. But I want to mention that if you, the hot water pipe, because the hot water, you know, like the way the water travel, it would corrode a lot of metal because it with the heat. So it would collect this sort of like heavy metal in a way. So you have to be careful because those metal are sort of not, the plant would not happy with those metal. So yeah, so that would be kind of sort of answering sort of watering as a whole.
Let's see. I think that's most of the questions. I'm just looking back. Oh, here's one I missed. I have an India rubber fig with wilting leaves.
Well, yeah, sorry, yeah.
Oh, go ahead. What should I do to save it?
Oh. Well, rubber plant, I have to admit, I'm also new. Like I did kill one or two, like years back, you know, somehow. But then at that time, I live in Central Valley, which is the air so dry. So I noticed that a lot of tropical plants were having a hard time with the dry air. So again, you know, it's go back to like the location. So the rubber plant do have like, I think 3 or 4 different sort of like subspecies, which mean that, you know, the dark one like burgundy, and then the like dark purple, dark green, and then the one that like variegated, like sort of light, you know, with white green or white pink. So the light exposure is one thing, and then another thing, they actually prefer to stay on the dry side. So the root rot can kill them easily from what I read, you know. But again, you have to kind of check and see. Yeah, I see one of my neighbor have it in his or her backyard, and they grow beautifully, you know. But again, there is a big tree on top, and that can grow outside, you know.
Yeah, I've never grown a rubber plant, so I don't have a lot of good advice on that one. Someone asks, is it good to spray neem oil for houseplants? I assume that would be for some sort of an insect. Yeah,
so like if you have some type of insect infestation, you know, with aphid, you can just easily spray it down with water. Some others, like I did mention a couple of times, spider mite, one main cause would be like, you know, the plant too close together, and then you don't have good air circulation. And that could happen, you know, when you don't open the window, or, you know, like, especially I think we're going through that cycle that now is cold, and, you know, everything keep closed, so the air circulation is not well. So spider mite can cause it. So neem oil is a natural oil that help to repel the pests. So I noticed that they do recommend that. I never use it myself, but if you use it, make sure that you follow the direction. Like start with more like dilute, dilute solution, and then you could use that if you have some kind of pest infestation that you cannot get rid of.
Yeah, yes, I'm not sure about using neem oil in the house. I would be inclined to take it outside.
It smell, right? Like it's
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I would say like you apply it outside and bring it in, or they said, I think I read somewhere they just have mix it with water, dilute, and then you use the wet cloth to rub the leaf, if that, so don't spray inside the house. Yes, that's a very good point.
Right. We're having a couple of questions about insects. Someone asks about mealybugs and someone else is asking about earwigs. Before you answer, I would just say that the UCIPM site that you showed is a really good place to go for specific questions about specific problems.
There's a link on the handouts, and then I do so like this is kind of, thank you. So what's the question?
Well, one person asked about earwigs, and I would say if you have earwigs in a houseplant, you should take the houseplant outside.
I agree, because they come with the decomposed leaf type thing, right?
Yes,
like,
earwigs belong
outside. The potting
outside.
soil shouldn't come with earwigs. I mean, unless you sort of sit it out and open the bag and something get into it.
And then the other question was about mealybugs on houseplants.
So, you know what? I just blanked out. Maybe you can help me with.
I don't know about mealybugs either. I would say in the case of something like that, you should definitely look at the UCIPM website. It's an excellent website for any.
So if you go to that search, like this is the site. So you can Google UCIPM and then search, and then they have a good recommendation for different type of pests. And then I think I sort of neglecting to mention about our hotline. So if you go to our website, the UC Master Gardener, Santa Clara County, you can take a picture of the plant problem and email us, and someone will get back to you within a day or two. So that's the best way to, we have a volunteer working Monday to Friday. So they help answer the question, any gardening plants related question that way. So you can reach us that way. Yeah.
And then another question, I think this probably ought to be our last question, is someone has asked about using expanded clay pebbles that are used for semi-hydroponic growing houseplants. I don't know about that product. Do you know about that?
I've seen them. A good friend of mine, she actually used it on top because she thinks that it helped to reduce the gnat infestation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, and I noticed that like if you mix it with the soil, it sort of create, it helped aerate the soil because it would, but then it would stay like that. It's like this little ball. I would say it's an option if you have it, you can use it. But again, like if you have potting soil that, already, you can aerate the potting soil with perlite, that would be one way, but this clay pebble can be part of it. I do not think that they release any nutrient at all. I do not know more than this, but I would say like do some research, because there are products out there commercially that it's just like, we have choice to use it or not.
Yeah. I think that's about all the questions that we can take today.
Yeah, thank you so much. I know we're at 6:15, and so we can definitely wrap up. One more time, we've put links in the chat right now where you can ask that gardening question. We can also include that information on the description for the YouTube video that we'll upload. You can find that recording in the next day or two on the YouTubes of the UC Master Gardeners of Santa Clara County, and we can put it up also on the Los Gatos Library YouTube channel. That's also probably the best way to see the slideshow again, since we won't be able to pass the slides themselves. You can definitely work through the recorded video and see the slides there. Did you have anything else to add, Luis or Mint?
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And
yeah.
I got to go, but all right. Well, thank you very much. All right. Bye.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mint. And thank you everyone for coming. We really, really appreciate you having us here. Sorry, I'm realizing my video is hidden. Yeah, thank you all for being here. Really appreciate it. And yeah, keep a lookout on both the event calendar for Los Gatos Library and the event calendar for the UC Master Gardeners of Santa Clara County. Thank you so much, everybody.